Hey guys, there has been an absolute high demand for new home, new housing for people to move into. The builders pretty much took a 10-year vacation on building. We're about 6 million houses short, according to the National Association of Realtors. In this video, me and Dan Haberkoss are gonna be talking about what is a spec home. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. First, we're going to be talking about what the heck is a spec home. Then we're going to be talking about some of the massive profits and the passive income generation that you could bring in building spec homes. And by the end of this video, all the mystery is going to be taken out of it. Hey guys, have a great video for you today. I have Dan Haberkoss on here with me today. He is the king of building spec homes. This guy was a bodybuilding champion at the age of 18 years old. He has trained me in weightlifting, and he's also showing me things in business today and what he's accomplished in his building career. Me and Dan met a couple years ago. He came into the Land Sharks course and he started buying land at crazy massive discounts. And I was so fascinated with what Dan does. I mean, once a week, he would take a day off with his friends and go snowboarding. So this guy has got business figured out. And today we're gonna be explaining what is a spec home. So go ahead, Dan, how are you today?
Brent, I'm awesome. Thank you for that kind introduction. Hopefully we can shed some light on building specs because it's really not that complex.
Well, what is a spec home? From the guy that's built so many of them, I want to hear it directly from you.
It's really simple, kind of as the name speculation implies. You're building a house to sell that is not yet sold. That's the concept, very simply. And in an environment like today where there's a massive shortage of housing, and especially if you're in the parts of the country where there's a huge migration of people, this is a strategy that works very, very, very well.
Yeah, I like that you said huge migration of people. And we talk about this in one of our other videos, the step-by-step process of buying land and building a house. This is how we kind of figure out how to buy land and what area to buy in, because we want to go where the demand's at. We don't want to go out there and start building houses, spec houses, and figure out there's no demand. So I'm glad you brought that up. So Dan and I have had the pleasure of doing several spec houses. We're working on a couple right now, he's working on a couple. I'm working on one with him. I've built a couple, and a lot of these have been kind of trial and error learning situations. So now now that I've kind of teamed up with Dan and doing this with Dan, I feel like it's more of a, I don't want to say cookie cutter approach because that really simplifies it, but more of an ABC 1, 2, 3, because ABC 1, 2, 3 can be happening simultaneously between the contractor, the realtor, the site manager, the subs, you name it. So let's talk about some of the deals we've done. Maybe start with one in the past and one that's current.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with 4223 Mustang Drive. This was one Brent and I did all the way down in Colorado City, Colorado, a sleepy little town. But I got a land deal there on the golf course last year, and we noticed the town was getting a little bit less sleepy. People were moving there. Houses were popping up. Again, as Colorado's gotten expensive, it's just pushed people straight down the main highway, right along the front mountain range. And now there's growth all the way down in Colorado City. And so that one, there was a little more of a learning curve because we had not built in that market. So, I don't know, Brent, you want me to just go straight to profit or?
I love the fact that we made a few mistakes too while doing it. Yeah, talk about it.
We absolutely did. It was the first time building with that contractor. A friend of mine had used him successfully. Brent had used him for rehabs, but we'd never used him to build. And then, of course, commodities went even crazier well within our time period of building. But guys, the key was I bought a really nice lot for $1,000. And that right there really, really helps hedge risk against price increases or anything that might come your way, because it just adds more of a margin, making our basis so low. But at the end of the day, we made just shy of 40 grand on Mustang, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,424 square foot ranch on a crawl space. Really simple. Again, see step-by-step process of buying land and building a house for more details on how it's actually done, how you select your floor plan and your market. We go over that there. But that was the product that made sense for the demographics moving there. We had it sold well before completed. And yeah, we netted just under 40K on that one. And that was one where we made a lot of mistakes. That was definitely not close to best case scenario.
Well, what were some of those mistakes? Because I feel like when we make mistakes, we ponder. When we make money, we party. So sometimes the best lessons in life are, and now granted, we still made money. We split $40,000, and I calculated up, I probably have about 4 hours into that because I thought we had an accounting problem. So I literally was like doing the numbers for almost 4 hours one day in a Starbucks, drinking coffee. I was so wired by the end of it. Because I was like, wait a minute, are we going to lose money? Because we did the project during the winter. The excavation costs a lot more. The foundation, like you name it. So what were some of the lessons learned?
On our end, not quite being tight enough on our oversight of the contractor. Costs went up higher than we realized, and we weren't on top of it, partially because there was accounting issues. But that was a big one, is not tracking our books carefully enough. So we've been much better on that going forward. Another one was, we didn't even ask, right? We got charged interest on the full construction loan before it was drawn. Whereas on the next build, I just asked the lender, hey, let's set it up so we're only paying interest as we draw. And he goes, sure, that saves us a lot of money on subsequent builds.
Let me break that down, what that means. That is so powerful because we borrowed about $180,000 to build for Mustang Drive, and we maybe only had pulled at like 2 months into the project, maybe 40,000, because I had actually made all the payments, paid the contractor almost $50,000. And then about a month later, I took a draw and I was like, oh my gosh, my bank account's so low. So we hadn't used that money for almost 2.5 months before I even took the first draw of 40,000, but we're paying 9.25% interest on 180, and we hadn't even used the money yet. So that is huge. Like that's why you want a smart partner, because I didn't even think about it.
Exactly. On Cabaret, the next one we'll talk about, I was aware of this ahead of time, had that conversation, and 4 months in, I think our payment finally broke $1,000 because we drew most of the funds already, and that'll be done here soon. But back to Mustang, those were a couple of the mistakes we made. I also found other people to do the plans, cheaper surveyor. So ended up saving a couple more $1,000 for subsequent builds that way too. And then finally, we took the first offer we got, and it appraised at 350. Even though we had it listed at 340, they did a 350 offer with 10K in concessions. And turns out we could have just sold it at 350 with no concessions. So on this next one, we'll make probably somewhere in the 60s for that same product in that same market. So yeah, that was Mustang Drive.
I love it. And what's so awesome about that house is what, 1,600 square foot with the garage, Mustang Drive?
I forget the garage size. The finished livable space was 1,424.
So such a small house. Let's just say the market completely did a 180 while we were holding that. What do you think we could have rented that house out for?
Oh gosh, I gotta think brand new construction down there, 1,800, 1,900.
We would have paid for that thing and still cash flowed even with the hard money loan that we had. And I say it's a hard money loan because we paid 2 points and 9.25% interest. We weren't even using a traditional bank. A lot of times after you build enough of these houses in the same area, you learn all these mistakes. You find people that will do cheaper surveys. You get bulk pricing on materials. You use economy of scale. And then you have a bank that sees what you're doing and they give you a line of credit for 2 or 3%.
Yep, exactly. So let's move on to Cabaret then. Cabaret is a much more ideal scenario. One more important detail there, guys. Mustang, again, being so far down south in a sleepy town, took about 10 months to complete. So keep that in mind, because time is money. That matters, right? That capital, the velocity of money is very important. So with Cabaret, this is a more ideal scenario. We broke ground on this lot, I want to say January 16th of this year. The house is currently completely dried in. The stucco is about to go on. Roof is on. All the contractors are coming back in to do finished plumbing, and drywall's done. So finished plumbing, HVAC, electrical, so on. And it's under contract with $5,000 non-refundable earnest money to close July the 1st. And on this one, it looks like it'll be more about 90K profit. So that's a far more ideal build, again, because once we got it going, haven't really done much. Again, I go to our video on building to get more step-by-step on this, but my realtor handles most of the day-to-day. She's a lot like a project manager. She communicates with the contractor. I mean, by the end of this thing, I'll have 5 or 6 hours into it and make, 90K. So not a bad project.
Don't confuse this. Guys, if you have someone that you've been talking about doing this with, share this video with them. Show them the power of this. How many hours would you say that you personally have into that one, Dan?
It'll probably be 4 or 5 because it's just a text here and there to the realtor. It's not much at all.
Let's just say it's 9 hours. Would you say that's crazy? Like you don't have 9 hours into it?
I won't spend that much time.
So $10,000 an hour, even if you had 9 hours into it. Dan, do you have a law degree?
No, I do not.
Did you go to school for 10 years to make this kind of money?
No.
How old are you, Dan?
26.
26 years old, making $10,000 an hour. If you're interested in seeing this is a fit for you, head on over to ibuildfreedom.com. Schedule a call with me or Dan today. Dan, I know you had some final thoughts.
Guys, again, it gets easy once you have the system set up. Everyone seems to think building is this scary, massive undertaking, and it's really not. It's like anything else. It's like my friend and mentor, I guess would be a good word for it, once told me, who taught me how to build. He told me, Dan, building houses is child's play. And once you know the system and you've implemented it a few times, it really is, and it becomes largely passive.
I love Rich. I know you didn't mention his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about. And guys, Dan has put in this sweat effort. I wrote down and looked at a bunch of Rich's projects. That's the mentor you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it was in 2018. Yep.
For 1 year, Dan went down there every single weekend and figured out a way to serve this man and learn. I mean, this guy like literally treated building spec homes and made a fortune doing it and called it child's play. There's a system. There's a way to stand on the shoulders of giants. There's a way to model and take the steps. You can compress decades into days, as Tony Robbins would say. So if you're interested in compressing decades into days and seeing, you know, the system that Dan and I use to build very profitable houses to make $10,000 an hour, I'm not saying they're all gonna be that great. There's gonna be some where we might make only $12,000 an hour or maybe $4,000 an hour. But here's the thing. It's about having consistent, knowing your profit before you go into it, and let us help you do that with ibuildfreedom.com. Head on over, schedule a call, and love to see you.